There are a ton of strategies you can do in Chimps mode in Bloons TD6, and recently I finished a playlist showcasing strategies for every single tower and hero, and I decided to compile all of them and make some fun top 3 lists. So today we're going to be taking a look at the top 3 wackiest strategies in Bloons TD6 from the playlist, and of course if you want to check this out and see all of the possible strategies you can do, you can check that out in the link in the description. But let's get right into it. So we're going to be starting off with the temple, and of course, as these are wacky strategies, we are going to have some very wacky strategies. I'm going to be doing this with Gwendolyn just because there's a lot of things that are going to be issues, particularly DDTs and just doing damage in general, and this is because this is not good in any ways. Never said they're going to be good, they're going to be very wacky though, and the temple definitely is a wacky way to beat Chimps mode. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to speed through a lot of this because a lot of these rounds are just going to take absolutely forever, but you definitely want to be doing this on a really easy map, and it is kind of a fun challenge if you want to give it a go. So I'd recommend doing it if you have a very easy map to blackboard, or maybe like logs if you need to blackboard it. Why not try it? So we can just go for Gwendolyn, want to get that submergent support down, and then we'll just get 2 discount villages. One of them will get drums, and we'll get a stronger stimulant, so we'll have that sun avatar being buffed up and Gwendolyn being buffed up too. I'm going to get a 320 sun avatar just so it has a lot more pierce. I unsubmerged that sub to take out those purples, but if you're trying to do this with a black border, I feel like that would just be a little too tricky, you might forget, so maybe you want to get like just something to take out those purples, like a glaive ricochet could probably do that just fine. And then there's also like the purples on 78 too, which are kind of annoying. Gwen for now will be doing pretty chill because the sun avatar should be able to take everything out, but once we get to ZOMGs, it starts to struggle and it gets bad. We're going to have to save up a whole 108k for temple, and that's just something. So it definitely is a bit tricky to do, and the funny thing is that once you get temple, most of your damage actually disappears because the buffed sun avatar is just better than a temple with like barely no sacrifices. You could try to get up to one of the 10k thresholds for like magic, military, or primary, which would give it a good amount of strength, but without that it's definitely going nowhere. So I got the temple kind of early, like as soon as I could. So as you can see here on round 95, I got the 108k. I decided to beat round 95 before actually upgrading, so I upgraded it on round 96, and there we go. You can see it kind of starts to struggle. I do get a little bit of sacrifices here and there, so it will like blow some things back, and it has a little bit of military, so it makes like a little missile, but overall the damage is just bad. Round 98 was just atrocious. I did have a bunch of cash spare. Round 99 was also pretty bad, but 100 I didn't even have enough single target damage, so I had to buy a spike factory, which was kind of funny. But with that, we beat Chimps with a temple. Kind of close, but yeah, it's a weird one. This one's actually really weird and really fun and kind of effective in a way. As you saw, it's Perma-brew with super monkey fan clubs. So unlike the temple where it's just atrocious, you kind of actually can use it. So I'm going to be starting off with Soda just to make the early game easier, and we're going to be getting some triple dart monkeys. The triple dart monkeys are actually kind of good, and they did a lot better than I thought. If you were going for something a little more like advanced, you probably want to get a little bit of an early game carry in, because I don't think on a lot of harder maps just triple dart monkeys will be able to get you by. But because we're getting a few super monkey fan clubs, we need to get 3 before we save up for the Perma-brew. We're just going to get this alchemist and 3 triple dart monkeys, and that did better than I thought, to be honest. We also want to try to get this primary mentoring up, because this will give us free upgrades on all our dart monkeys, which will actually save a lot of money, and we'll get 10% more cooldowns on our super monkey fan club abilities, which is really nice too. So I'm just going to grab that, and then we're going to get a signal flare to take out the camos. Round 40, I was able to take out those ceramics inside with Soda, but I probably could have just beaten it even without the ability, which is kind of crazy. And then we have stimulant buff on these the triple dart monkeys, and this actually saved up for the 3 super monkey fan clubs kind of instantly, which is really nice. Once we get 3, we can get a whole layout of 10 super monkeys and have permanent uptime super monkey fan club. And we can also get the free tier, it's more like 110, I think that typically would be doing the best. So 1-1 upgrades on all of the dart monkeys, and this will make them stronger. So if you're wondering, yes, this is actually a lot stronger than just having 10-0-0-0 super monkeys. They get a whole bunch of stat buffs, which is really nice from the cross paths, and they're just in general a lot stronger, which is really cool. And with 10 of these, as long as you're willing to click the button, it can do a decent amount. It saves up at least a Perma-brew here on this map, and we can buy Perma-brew, and now they go a bit crazy. So this is where it kind of gets to weird to like actually doing an insane amount of damage, surprisingly large amount of damage. So we can get this, we can get a few more Super Monkey fan clubs, and we can just spam the abilities, just to at least have like one up all the time, because you don't want to get put in a situation where you have nothing up. That would be kind of bad. But we can just keep them up, and at least permanent uptime. If there's a bit of more balloons on the screen, you could maybe use 2. You could get more Super Monkey fan clubs. But with Perma-brew, they do a ton of damage. They can kill DDTs. It's just kind of insane, and it's really, really fun and really wacky and surprisingly good. And instead of saying the Super Monkey fan club, I guess now they turn into the Super Funky man club, because there's just so many of them and they're so funky and they're really fun. As you can see, round 98 was just destroyed there, and I still have like 45k spare. I'm going to be ending with 50k spare, which is kind of crazy. I could have gotten a whole bunch of stuff that made them even more powerful. But yeah, that's a really, really wacky one. That might have just been the wackiest, I'd say, out of all of them. But we're ending it off one with another, again, really wacky strategy. And we got Brickell here today. And you might say, Brickell, that's kind of weird. Why would that be a wacky strategy? Kind of the opposite. There's like a lot of really hardcore, sweaty Brickell strategies. But as you can see on the map here, we have no water, and we are going to be getting Brickell on a map with no water. You probably know, if you're staying tuned to the recent updates, how this will work, but let's see how that works later and start with our early game carry, because we can't just get Brickell now. We gotta get an early game carry and all to be able to go into our towers. So I'm just going to start off with a Bloonjitsu and an alk buff here. This should work pretty well. It will be able to take out the balloons on a lot of maps. This won't actually take out round 40 in its entirety, so and when that comes up, we'll get something to deal with it, but it should be able to be very easy to go into. It's a very effective and common strategy. So for round 40, we'll start getting our Lord of the Abyss up, which is the emo lord, and yeah, that's the start of the very emo phase. It gets more emo from there with the tier 3 to the tier 4 to the tier 5, but the Abyssal Dweller will actually be able to take out the ceramics on round 40, which is really nice. We'll get that. I'll get drums, so we just have enough damage. And on this map, even underground, it's a pretty tricky map, I'd say. We actually can go straight into Lord of the Abyss from here and retain a black border, which I think is really funny. It's just kind of a strong tower, and I guess because the Jitsu will be doing some good damage, and the Abyssal Warrior can slow down all of that stuff, we'll be able to do well. And then around 55 or 56 here, we can get the true emo lord, the Abyssal Lord of the Abyss. And here we go. We can finally place Brickell, because the Lord of the Abyss will create water around itself. So we can get Brickell down finally on round 57, and now go for a full Brickell strategy on a map that does not have water. So let's have fun, and let's get Pirate Lord. So I don't think I've made like particularly videos about this in the first place, but I have seen some. It's kind of just a weird, funny thing to do. It's not really necessarily all that effective, because you couldn't be getting Brickell so late, and beating the early game on Chimps, especially with a black border, is pretty difficult without a hero. So you're going to be put it in some pretty nasty situations. Like, the hero just does so much for you in the early game. Even if it's something like a hero that doesn't really do a whole lot in the early game, you'll be getting a lot. So I'll be able to get Pirate Lord just about here, and as you can notice, I cannot place Mega Mine. As much as I tried, I don't know if this is a bug or not, but you just straight up can't place Mega Mine in the radius of the Lord of the Abyss. So that's something you can't do, I guess, and kind of makes a lot of Brickell things more useless. I got all these mermonkeys at the top to try to increase the range, to see if that would allow me to, but it didn't work. So in the meantime, I'm just going to get another boat. I'm going to get the MIB up there, just so that we can take out DDTs a bit more effectively, and I'll be getting for carrier flagship too here. Why not? Just to round it off, make it a true Brickell strategy. So we'll just be able to use our level 3 and buff these guys up. We can use our ability and all, but we can't use Mega Mine, so that's kind of a funny thing. But yeah, very weird, very obscure way of beating maps that have no water is to beat them with water, but yeah, I guess that's kind of how it will run. And also in general, it's kind of expensive because you have to get the Lord of the Abyss up first, so even though it's a cheaper tower, you have to get that up completely before you can even place your hero and start building your damage towers. So because of this, I kind of got put in a weird situation where I didn't really have much money and the harder rounds are coming at me all at once. So only like right before round 95 I was finally able to even get like a Moab glue down. But because this map is, I guess, a lot easier than stuff that I'm used to be playing, I never really had an issue rebounding once I put like all of my focus into it, and I was able to just like use abilities and all and take that out. Round 100 I guess was a bit of an issue because I didn't really have anything that necessarily dealt a lot to 100, so I was able to solve this just by buying like a little something extra to be able to take that out. It was kind of close though, but yeah, that's 3 wacky strategies, 3 indeed very wacky strategies. My favorite is the Perma-brew Super Monkey Fan Club, but if you want to check out any of the strategies from this playlist that all of these come from, you can do so right here.